What's up, friends? Welcome to the 2-6 podcast. On this podcast, we focus on Web3, business, and achieving your personal potential. On today's episode, Adrian has a great conversation with special guest Gary Cardone, a renowned entrepreneur and visionary in the world of business and finance. Gary brings a wealth of experience from overcoming personal challenges to building a successful career in the corporate world and then transitioning onto entrepreneurship. Adrian and Gary dive deep into a candid conversation where they'll explore his intriguing perspectives on the future of Web3 and blockchain technology. As with all of our episodes, nothing we'll say today is to be considered financial advice. This content is for entertainment and educational purposes only. With that all said, let's get to it.
Welcome to the 2-6 podcast. You're tuned in to another exciting episode of Business and Web3. I'm your host, Adrian. So bringing you a very special guest joining us today he's a serial entrepreneur and investor with his most recent venture into Web3 with Node 40. It's a New York-based company getting into the crypto data analysis, accounting, and taxes. So ladies and gentlemen, please welcome one and only Mr. Gary Cardone. Gary, how are you, brother?
Good to see you, Adrian.
Same here, man. Same here. Hey, man, let's start off just telling us a little bit about your journey early on in like the corporate world and how you transitioned into being an entrepreneur.
Well, got out of school when I was, quite frankly, I think the entrepreneurial role started at Market Basket, working at a grocery store. And I learned how to pack bags and take them out. That's when people used to give tips when you did a good job. But I got really focused on making sure that bag was packed perfectly for that lady, and then I'd bring it out to her car. I didn't ask her, do you want me to help you? What a dumb question that is, right? I grabbed the basket
Absolutely.
and I would take it I'm not going to ask them. Everybody's going to go, no, you don't have to help me. But they really want to be helped. And I learned how to take care of people and make a buck, 50 cents a quarter, whatever for the tip. Working at a country club when I was probably 14, serving a bunch of rich people. That was a really good experience. Then I took time out of becoming an entrepreneur between the ages of like 14 and 20 to go to school, which was a complete and utter waste of my time. I mean, I needed some type of education, but I didn't need 8 years of learning how to smoke dope and chase girls and do nothing, and the football players could, get the grades. And anyway, I finally got out of school at 20, I think, 20 or 21, and literally the next day, my mom had already kicked Grant and I out of the house at about 19 because we were so rebellious and disrespectful to her space. That was probably the best. Adrian, I'll tell you, the best gift that's ever been given to me is from my mother. And she told me and Grant one day, she said, hey, you guys are no longer allowed here. You're going to have to go find your own place. No more dirty underwear. No more cooked meals. No more anything. I'm not doing your washing for you anymore. You guys are grossly disrespectful. Go out and become men or go to jail. Do whatever you need to do. That tough love, dude, the next day I grew up. I grew up a decade the next moment. And that really was good for me to as soon as that happened, as soon as I got out of college, I literally left Louisiana and went to Texas and got a job. And that would start my, what I call finding Gary moment, because I didn't have no comfortable things, no buddies, no friends, no mommy. And that would lead to my first job at 27. It would take me 5 years to find the right place. I went to a bunch of large companies and ended up finding a spot which would be at 26 or 27. I would never go back. I would be an entrepreneur for the rest of my life, this team. So I think it was 12 people. Ended up becoming a Fortune 30 company. So it was a good first entrepreneurial role, that was for sure.
So Gary, I have to say, man, I really do agree with you on the mother side of it. It's we grew up. My father was around, but I did live in single mom environment, very strong, independent woman. I have to say, man, having a strong, independent mother has been one of the best things for me as well, and my other brother, the brother from another mother. But man, it's great to have these women in our lives, because without them, It's they knew a true struggle. I know mine did anyway.
Yeah, they did, and I learned some things from my mom that I probably should not have learned either. Some of that comes with being so protective and probably scared. Her husband died when we were 9. The youngest of 9. She had five kids, three boys and teenagers, and then 2 older daughters. And I think just the fear of money, fear of no education, but she distilled really good principles. She gave us good meals every day. Like, I don't remember eating a McDonald's hamburger ever, unless we just wanted to, right? I mean, it was
right.
So just I think the tough love was really, really powerful for an alpha like me. I need discipline around me. I need to know where the box is, not a fake box. I remember a psychologist once, when I was about 28, trying to figure out who the hell I was. I must have had a dozen experts, teachers, counselors, whatever, say, you don't like authority. You're a rebel. And I'm sure a lot of people have heard this. And then I met a man when I was about 30, and he said, you don't like weak or fake authority. And I'm like, that rings true to me. It's not that I don't like authority. I'm a really good lieutenant, colonel. Put me in a job, and the boss actually knows what he's talking about. I will go to great lengths to serve him or her. But I have to trust that they're not full of shit. And when they start doing the, political stuff and it doesn't make sense, I just lose respect. I see my kids going to school. They've lost respect for every one of their teachers because of the inconsistencies in the rules and the parameters that are set. They know it's just all up for massaging.
Yeah, we've talked a lot about that on some of your X spaces, man. I think those are good conversations with schooling, because I find myself, I think my kids are about the same age as yours, and talking about schooling and beyond the high school, or beyond education, and kind of leaning more towards, like, what do you want to do, and do you want to become an entrepreneur, and if so, you can learn some from the business school, but truly you learn probably more with a mentorship. But man, I truly love those spaces. But what, Gary, turning back into being an entrepreneur, what was some of your motivations to leave that corporate world and becoming more of an entrepreneur for yourself?
You ever been in a relationship with a woman and you knew it was wrong?
Yes, I'm sure most of
I
us
think
have, right?
yeah. Well, I think that's the right answer. But the difference is, I think people spend more time in their businesses than they do with their girlfriends, and we should not. I got to be careful how I say this, because I'm very careful that I don't want to mess anybody's career up. But I think there's a reason that a lot of people are mediocre in their roles in life, because they basically are mediocre in their decisions. They chose to go to work for money, to pay off a debt, but they didn't choose to go to work to be the best that they could be of themselves, to be a creator, a producer. So, like, I kept leaving jobs because I didn't leave a lot of jobs, but just because someone was paying me some money does not mean that I was happy. I remember working at Seagull Energy in Houston, Texas. They would end up probably selling I think they sold to Coke hydrocarbons. Big fancy office, mahogany wood, Houston, Texas, all the glitz. But I looked around and I'm like, really, I'm going to work for these people for the rest of my life? This is what I felt like. I was in a zoo or a prison, not in a world where, when I went to work, I had this image, and maybe it was because my dad died and I got imprinted with this image that I wanted my dad to be a hero. But I thought my dad Like, I thought business people went to work and did something productive. And then I got into business and realized, oh, they go to meetings and they talk about dress code and they talk about what their pension's going to be and the retirement program and, you know, what this company's doing. And I just didn't want to spend 30 years of my life doing this. I could not imagine doing that, man.
Did you find it harder to do that at a later age versus being younger?
Well, I was
Making that leap?
27. I was 27 when I made that decision. And I was
Okay.
a very young 27. I was probably going on 19.
Yep.
But I knew right here that I was unhappy. And you know if you're unhappy or not, right? Everyone knows. Everyone knows if that girlfriend's not really the deal, but hey, it got you what you wanted on a Tuesday night. And then you keep, you know, down trading yourself instead of really look, I've had 3 failed marriages and I've had 7 successful entrepreneurial businesses. What's the difference? Every time I went into a business, I created a real plan for what I was doing. I had goals. I had goals on the exit. But I didn't do that in my marriages. And so, you know, I would build a case that why would someone approach their business life differently than they approach their family life? In my case, I did it backwards. So that's all I'm saying is that once you know, as I'm developing as a human being, I learn more and more and more who I am. I have to ask myself, is the stage that I'm putting myself on allow me to play the instrument that I was prone to play on this planet, right? Whether that instrument is writing, being in the back, being in the front with the guitar, playing in the rear with the drums, or being the marketing guy. Like, big things require big team. And so I just wanted to, dude, when I was 6 or 7 years old, I was able to go up to a baseball field and I was the last batter and I saved the day. And that imprinted my mind of, hey, I want to be the hero. Okay. I want to come in.
Yep.
I don't need to play every day. Okay. But I really do like the pressure. And when the team's all, you know, smashed up and they don't have anything else, hey, put Gary in. Okay. Gary's got some extra energy. Or Gary will lose his right arm to go to save the day. And which was really like, I would suffer to win, man. Like, for me, it was like, oh shit, I'm going to lose this arm. No problem. But in that moment, it was awesome. That's all I really needed to know about who I was as a human being. I needed to be put in a place where that could really shine.
Yeah.
So it was an easy decision, really.
I think one of the biggest things going back into relationships and business and you know, putting the time into, or maybe I should rephrase that and talking more about balance, a balance between, say, a relationship, a marriage, the business, the kids. How would you, what is your thoughts or maybe advice on balance between business and family?
I don't know anything about balance. So I
You're not
think
the only one that's ever told me that.
well, I think this work-life balance thing is an absolute pipe dream. I don't think it works. I
Yeah.
don't know anybody that's made it work. I do not know anybody that does a 4-hour work week. Okay. Might make a great book title.
I've read that
You know,
book.
yeah, it's not the way I work. I had my first kid when I was 49 years old. That is something that, as a man in this age, I would tell people that maybe 49 was too old, but or maybe my wife was too young. That was probably more likely my wife was a little too. The spread between us was too big, and we tried to do business together in addition to having a family. Massive disaster. Cost me $250 million. Cost me 10 years of my life. But I got 2 awesome kids out of it. And hopefully they're not going to be too screwed up over a messy divorce by 2 immature people, basically, that knew more about how to build businesses than we knew how to build relationships. And but balance, balance has not been a part of my life at all. It's been pretty extreme.
Yeah.
And if I'm really honest, I don't like the balance. It's scary to me. I am one of those guys that
It's a
a little
challenge.
bit. Yeah, it is. It is a challenge, and I think the partner has to be brought on to understand who she or he is getting married to, and what's that goal, right?
It's hard to grow a business and do the juggling of everyday life, sports, you name it. It's not easy. It's not easy. So man, I appreciate you giving us that insight for sure. Any advice that you would give someone looking to, say, shift from a corporate position or the corporate world getting into entrepreneurship?
The longer you wait, the harder it gets. The more that 401k packs up, it's there for a reason, guys, and it's not about protecting your retirement. It's to lock you in. If it was there to really take care of your retirement, you would have the ability to short stocks. You would have the ability to buy Bitcoin in it. You'd have the ability to buy gold and protect your position, but it doesn't. It's a long-only position for most companies. I don't think most people are built for entrepreneurship, okay, quite frankly. Most people are not built for this. This is not, and it's not like a shameful moment. Oh, you're not an entrepreneur. Dude, there's a reason 98% of these deals fail, okay? There is a reason. It is easier what did somebody tell me the other day? It's easier to make $1 million than to get a six-pack of abs. For you and me, probably easier to make 10 million.
Dude, I can't. I've never been able to get a six-pack abs. Do you know? It just doesn't exist.
Yeah. But that's what most people think about $1 billion too, right? The only reason I haven't made $1 billion, I just didn't put my attention on it. I heard people wanting to make $1 billion. I'm like, why would you need to make that much money? It's just silly.
Right.
So first off, I don't think most people are designed to be entrepreneurs. And most certainly, most people, when they're coming out of school at 18 or 22, dude, be a mentor, man. Be a mentoree, okay? Be a disciple. Go work for a genius. Just get around it. The proximity to power is a formula. You want to get power, get close to power. Get close to intelligence. If your proximity is to prostitutes and hookers and guys snorting coke all day long, or gambling, or playing shit coins with $1,200, this is going on in the crypto community. You've got these people spending 6-7 hours on Spaces trading $120 position, acting like they're ballers, okay? And they should be going to work. They should go to work, man. Go to work for somebody like me. Make $15 an hour. Bring value so you can see that 15 go to 100 or 300 or 800 an hour. And then you have something to invest in. But like playing with Dogecoin, the only reason you're buying Dogecoin is because you look at it and go, well, I don't want to buy 1/10 of a Bitcoin. Okay.
Yeah.
So you want to own 1,000 Dogecoins. I mean, it's a really flawed thought process, and it really shows you how uneducated most people are. I think mostly in America, we are grossly miseducated. I mean, in just basics, man. Just like people call me and go, "Hey, what should I invest in? What coin should I invest in?" I'm like, well, cut up your plastic coins, first off. De-invest in your plastic cards. Can't buy Bitcoin if you're in debt. Like, get rid of all your debt first. Nobody wants to get rid of their debt first. They want to just be ballers.
Dude.
Well, wrong.
100%. 100%.
It's just wrong.
100%, man. And this is probably a good transition point of the journey into Web3 with, you've seen obviously the rise of blockchain technology, and, we're talking crypto right now. What kind of led you to kind of dive into that Web3 space with the company that you're a part of, with the Node 40 and Bitcoin? What kind of got you into that space?
Well, it's a really interesting story, actually. So I'd been involved with the natural gas business and the power business, and that was really reforming the entire way energy moves across the planet. I mean, 50 to 100 people, most people don't understand this, 50 to 100 men. That's it, dude. Like, I could probably put the whole name list of people together. Less than 100 men in the United States changed the way energy traded in the United States, and then that would flow into the rest of the world. I think probably the most sensitive commodities in the world are natural gas and electricity. Without natural gas and electricity, you are a third world nation. With proper electricity
100%.
and natural gas in any volume, okay? In volume, at any price, excuse me. As long as you have enough volume, it doesn't matter what the price is. So this is a very, very important product, how many T-shirts they consume or how many T-shirts they sell, okay? Like, for a while they were. China would get a big credit, but it doesn't take a lot to make a T-shirt, but it does require natural gas and electricity. Everything. Teslas require natural gas and electricity just to make the bloody car, not to fuel it, but to make the bloody car. So with that education,
right.
I'm looking around at the age of 38 years old going, my God, dude, we just commoditized the most valuable product in the world, rolled it down to 30-minute cycle. It used to be priced in 20-year contracts. Now it's down to 30 minutes. When I met a woman on through the internet on an airplane, she brought me into the internet world, and I was stunned that you had all these different terms and conditions. There are 50 million merchants on planet Earth. Let me ask you a question. How good are our regulators taking care of us? The FTC, all of you guys, okay? Why is it we have 50 million different terms and conditions in super tiny font sizes that not one human being has read, can read, or understand, if they even do read it? They're extremely long. Why do we all have very different variations? There's no consistencies in terms and conditions. In the energy business, there's one agreement. It's called an ISDA, okay? And Exxon's going to have one, and I'm going to have one, and you're going to have one. And if you don't sign it, you ain't playing. Zero play. Guess what else you don't have in that space? You don't have refunds. You don't have friction of any type. You don't have returns or chargebacks. Okay? Only in these broken markets do you have all this noise. So here we have a product that's far more valuable, far more sensitive than T-shirts by 1,000 miles. Yet the T-shirts get all the attention, and you get all these different terms and conditions. So first thing you do is you look at this world and you go, at 38, I'm like, wow, this world is going to undergo massive change, because this was all 20th century bullshit, okay? This was a contract where I would walk into Target, and Target would give me, hey, you have 30 days to return this product with or without a receipt. I go online, the terms and conditions for Target are different than in store. Okay, as if me, the consumer, knows the difference between an in-store versus an out-store experience. You then, in 2004 till 2000 COVID, and you basically massively changed the substructure of the market, where no one's going to go into a store unless they absolutely have to. They have a lunch or they have a date. Okay? Literally nobody's going to go into stores in the future. Why do I say that? Because you can't afford it. When you commoditize, what did we do in natural gas and electricity? We delivered transparency to electricity, to opaque markets, to markets that are normally very, very dark. We deliver transparency. Anytime you deliver transparency, I have a maxim for this. I mean, it is a pure maxim. When you deliver transparency, it creates the beginnings of commoditization. And when you do commoditization, when a product or industry becomes commoditized, margins collapse. I mean, collapse, man. Go like this. They should be razor thin, and volume should normally explode. And that is what's going to happen to this digital world. Watch what happens. So very small volumes right now, but when this market really gets transparent, it's going to be a much, much bigger market than we see today. So I think, the entrepreneurial thing, what brought me into Web3 was I saw all the friction in payments. I saw 13% declines, 8% refunds, well over 1% chargeback ratios, people getting sued left and right by the FTC. I mean, like, we don't live in a transparent industry, any of them. They all seem to be, the more you pay to the DOJ or the FTC, it seems like the larger your monopoly becomes. And that's always irritated me, right? It's not fair. And maybe this is about, growing up as a dumb kid in Louisiana, white trash with a mom that didn't have a great education. But I didn't think it was fair to be a member of the club and you get extra rights. Okay, like a buddy of mine when I was in high school flew into the back of a freaking car, drunk as a sailor, killed a lady, and he gets off of it. Well, why? He got off of it because he was the attorney general's son. That's why he got off of it. Okay, and that like, I'm sad for him. I'm sad for that family, but I don't think that's right, man. It's always irritated me. So when I saw Web3, I was like, oh my God, man, this is what we need to get all of the club structure out of the payments industry, the finance industry. The finance industry literally is the only industry that did not get attacked by Web 2.0. And it was because of a massive flaw that the Googles of the world underestimated. I just have to repeat this over and over. Amazon, Google, PayPal, Visa, MasterCard, dude, they all missed it. We created a place to go shopping and communicate, but we didn't put money into the equation. We never assumed this would be an exchange center. So my message to the world is, hey, if Jack Dorsey and Elon and Eric Schmidt and all these people, I mean, maybe even the CIA and the FBI, all these people that put all these strangers in these Google and Alphabets and Facebooks of the world, they didn't see that this was about money, that this would be the biggest transaction market in the world. Well, I'm pretty sure that most people are grossly underestimating Bitcoin and everything that's going to come with this invention. And that's what holds me really firm to be the entrepreneur. I can't have these thoughts working for a big company. They will suppress me, right? Man. They will suppress my creativity. They will tell me why we can't do it instead of me working here with three guys going, why can I do it? Right? Now, I know why they don't want it to work, right? It's going to squeeze their margins, and they have to report on quarterly earnings to a 22-year-old analyst, which is another flaw. I would predict in the next 5 years, quarterly reporting from public companies will cease to exist.
That would be
you can't have a transparent market out here. Oh, dude, it's a massively flawed market. Imagine if your wife came home.
Blockchain is nothing but transparent.
And every day,
right?
Exactly. But imagine if your wife came home every week and said, hey, man, you're not growing on your quarterly report to me. Okay? You ain't done enough sit-ups today. You didn't take the kids for more walks yesterday than you took. Dude, there's no infinite growth. Nothing grows forever. Yet Wall Street expects these public companies to grow. So what do? They cheat. They go into businesses that they have no clue on. They go buy companies for growth. You can't keep growing forever. Like, I'm going to die one day. For sure I'm going to die, man.
And what happens at the end of that? What happens to the end when truly you can't grow anymore? Because I mean, there's a lot of similarities with real estate, with doing 1031 exchanges and keep going on and on and on with the investments. But at some point, even with big corporations, you can't grow. You can't buy. There's no more companies to buy. So when does the growth stop? And what would you say happens at that point?
Well, I didn't say you couldn't grow forever. I don't think you can grow profitably every quarter. See, I think the quarterly, BlackRock will be bigger in 10 years than they are today. because the regulator is going to allow
100%.
them. Visa will probably be bigger than they are today, but they're going to have to go into industries they know nothing about. I mean, Visa, MasterCard have 72% of the entire plastic market. Okay, they make 51 and 46% net operating margin. That is criminal. Okay, 51 and 46% net operating margins. These are public companies, 40 years old, and they own 72% of all the plastic cards in the United States and Europe.
Everybody's pretty much jumping into that space now, and it's going to be interesting, man. I'm really curious to see how it's going to play out and what their strategies are going to be into getting into this space, because right now it's been nice for the common people to kind of get into a space and get in there before big corporations get in there.
Yeah, look, I think one of the reasons that I got into Node 40, to get back to your question, was I had a very long position in Bitcoin. The Node 40 deal came around. I did not want to do another deal for an operating company because I've done them my whole life. But they met every requirement that I wanted. Like, first off, like the big data piece of this, the forensics, auditing, tracking, tracing, placing financial context on your portfolio. Most people are doing that really poorly. Like, if I ask you right now, hey, what's your Bitcoin price in your wallet? I got $1,000. It says you cannot get within 10 cents of what it actually is. That's amateur hour. Okay, I look at that and go,
Right.
bro, that is so
Right.
amateur hour. Okay, I know exactly what my volume is, and I know what it is to the price. If you don't know what your average price is, imagine what your accounting firm or your lawyer is going to do when it comes to you being audited or having a lawsuit, right? Or, for God's sake, you get hit by a train tomorrow morning and your wife and your kids have to figure out, hey, did dad really use, drug money to buy Bitcoin? Like, maybe you used illegal
And
money,
it's
but
those 2,800
you're going to be dead, bro.
2,800 transactions. Yeah, I mean there's so many transactions, and I know I'm not the only one. There's so many different transactions that there's no way we can compute that. I mean, sure, I guess some of us could if we were good at doing a spreadsheet and keeping track of all the transactions. But man, in crypto and in itself, when you start getting into GameFi or you get into DeFi, whatever it may be, when you're doing a bunch of smaller little transactions and how all that plays out and putting it into, say, a spreadsheet or some type of form that you can give it to your accountant, it's man, it's almost nearly impossible without some type of program or company to help out with that. That's what I like
Well, you
about
need
Node
software.
40, man. I've heard you talk about it.
Yeah, it's a computer science solution, right? I mean, that's really what it is. The problem is when I was looking at the space, I realized that most of the companies that Node 40 competed with built a tax and accounting solution. Well, that's a mistake. If you're building a tax and accounting solution for Joe Consumer, that's cool. There'll be some people that need it, $75 a year, whatever, the old TurboTax thing. But when you're like me and you have 5 exchanges, I've got wallets all over the place. I've got a relationship with Fidelity, Coinbase, Binance, FTX, 2 offshore facilities. I've got my own legacy banking stuff that I need to do. Oh, I've got pieces in Grayscale, MicroStrategy. I bought some Solana last night. How the hell am I going to keep up with all this? The last time I gave this to a legacy player, he charged me $40,000 to tell me that I owed the U.S. government $739,000, and I have never sold any Bitcoin. He saw a transfer between Coinbase and Coinbase Pro. Okay, now I share this story. Okay, think about there are 43,000. I'm answering your question why I got involved with Node 40. There's 62,000 people in the payments industry touching chargebacks, touching them, not helping them. Okay, $6 billion in overhead. 62,000 amateurs touching chargebacks. Chargebacks have only gone up. In the credit card industry, there are 656 million chargeback cases. Okay, who do you think's keeping up with all that? No one, because you can't even find the data.
Yeah.
Okay, there's 43,000 tax and accounting companies that have just been doing legacy tax audits, quality of earnings. 43,000 firms, 6 million people are employed. Not one of them know anything about digital. They have knowledge on digital, nothing. And I'm not making fun of them. Okay, they couldn't have possibly come up to speed on this. Like, this has only been around 15 years, and no one's taken it seriously until people started talking about an ETF. So we have 43,000 tax accounting firms. The law firms, another 40,000. You know how many thousands of lawsuits there are already in this space? So you're going to need, no one's doing quality of earnings. I know guys with $50 and $60 million positions, and they're not doing quality of earnings. I have accounting people going, what are you talking about? Counting a quality of earnings on your digital trading? For sure, dude. If I can show a guy like you, hey, bro, you made all your money in 3 months over here on this one package. You didn't make any money on any of this. Your churn rate was stupid. Okay, you could have made a lot. Like, literally what we're doing is we're the risk management team that's a robot to your business, right? Whether you're a hodler, whether you're a high-frequency trader, it was built on the back of a high-frequency trader, so that helps us deal with the volumes. But most of our clients, and you should be too, are worried about two things. Am I trading correctly? What am I doing? Two, I want to be able to share this with my family. So if I die or go into a coma, although they have the keys, just having your own keys is not the solution. Having your own keys and your own story to be able to protect from a draconian, overreaching government. And if you don't think we have one, you might want to call me directly, and I'll share some stories with you, okay? But you're going to get audited. The question is the audit going to cost you 50 grand, 5 grand, or $500,000, or are they just going to take all your kids and family stuff away because they will not be able to tell the story? So I looked at the business, went, wow, these guys are awesome. They didn't launch too early. There's a bunch of people out in the space like TaxBit, Coinly, Luca, all these other Legible, Ledger. None of them have made any progress. You do not need to be early. I hate being early, actually, in these businesses.
Right.
And I need 0.5% of a market to make $100 million a year. And I can do that. I think I can do that on raising less than $20 million. So raising $20 million, people talk about how great of a Bitcoin. Look, I've done deals on, chargebacks brought me $500 million on a $10 million investment. Now I had to give that half of that to my wife, but and we took 4 more years than necessary. So I look at these businesses, I bet I do not ever need more than $20 million for Node 40, and it will become at least a $500 million business. It's a no-brainer. Question is it 27 or is it 28? And who needs this? Where is this best situated? Is it best situated at the government? Is it best situated at a top 4 or all top 4? Could it become the standard by which the U.S. government deals with all crypto? I would say that you need a standard in this industry. Clearly, the other companies aren't doing it correctly because these digital assets, our view is we balance them to zero. We know people that are balancing these, coming up with $50,000 deltas. Like, dude, these are zeros and ones. It should be, if your balance isn't zero, you should fire your guy, man. Fire your guy and call me or call somebody. You're not going to do it on a spreadsheet, and the government's not even going to accept it on a spreadsheet. So I'm lucky to know these spots. And the other thing is, most of these businesses are not sexy, man. See, I have a sexy business right now. It's called me. And I get to, I'm going to dump $10 million on Bitcoin, see what happens. I will always remain private because no one's going to pay me a premium for taking this kind of risk. But I could have Node 40 there that gets a 30 or 40x, because if you look at all the industries, like what gets the biggest premium? Big data, data analytics, information, right? There's a lot 100%. Of value in, yep. Look at what Glassnode's done. Look at what Chainalysis has done. Chainalysis missed the mark, just like the Web 2 guys and Web 1 guys. They missed the mark. They didn't see this as an accounting solution in addition to providing Interpol and the DOJ with, hey, stolen wallet. That's a great business as long as you keep having people do sanctions. But I think at the end of the day, people want to know, what's the monetary value of this crime, or what's the monetary value of this P&L over a period of time, or this tax resolution. I mean, how are you going to do tax loss harvesting if you don't have the actual data?
Right. And like you said, data is big business, right? So it's going to be really interesting, man, to see how a lot of this plays out. Because obviously we're all still pretty early, and how we're going to be able to show the information or the data that we've been doing for the last 2 years. Some of us a lot longer than that. But man, one last question for you, Gary. Where do you see Web3, blockchain, smart contracts? Where do you see it? How do you think it's going to be in the next 5 to 10 years? And how is it going to change industries as we generally know it?
I think that if we get back to what industries is it going to attack, other than the speculative industry, all that's happening right now really is you're seeing traders who are deploying, or investors deploying money into this space tangentially to their other investments. Like for me, I like Bitcoin better than I like oil. Well, I like Bitcoin better than I like everything. I like Bitcoin more than houses, cars, girlfriends, wives. I mean, Bitcoin's a beast, okay? It's going to be, it has been a 600% return on investment in the last 5 years. I only look at the last 5 years. That's enough for me. I just remove the first 8. Where it's going to take over is, I think, from 2 angles in the finance world. It's going to take over with guys like you and I doing large transactions, peer-to-peer, exactly like Satoshi imagined it. These guys that read the Satoshi paper and been around a long time, they bought $2 Bitcoin. Love you guys. I'm jealous. I got it. Okay, whatever. But you don't know anything about how markets work. And the way markets evolve is they're going to first let you and I will use Bitcoin, the invention of being able to move money digitally in big volume. Okay, like Node 40. I bought Node 40 on a Saturday afternoon with crypto. I think the other place that this really impacts, and this is when you're going to see all the canaries in the coal mine start screaming at the top of their lungs against Visa and MasterCard, these massive 51% net operating margin, guys. That is a freaky stat, okay? It's a 40-year-old company, duopoly. That does not continue. And I think you're going to see the canary when microtransactions. So it costs about 35 cents to do a plastic transaction. Gaming, gambling, pornography, dating, any kind of adult type activity, that all moves, dude. It all moves. And when you see it start to move, you're going to see Visa and MasterCard's earnings go through the fucking floor, okay? Because it's going to be the richest margin business they have for doing very little. I mean, we could argue. Dude, I get a guy on Visa, he'll start arguing with me. They make so much money off of this stuff. They called it brand risk. They've got, I got in trouble for doing chargebacks for some guys in Puerto Rico that were selling bullshit stuff that they bought from the same place that Amazon buys their stuff from and the same place that L'Oreal buys their stuff from. And just because Amazon and L'Oreal advertise it one way, they didn't like these other guys in Puerto Rico, right? And 12% of every credit card transaction done in the United States is with health and beauty. I can't help it that people keep buying dumb stuff to make themselves feel and look better, okay? It's been going on for a century. It'll continue going on for a century. My view is if Visa and MasterCard want to stop a $100 transaction like that, they should make it illegal. And they should call Facebook and Google up and say, hey, knock off those ads. Only the big boys can do these sneaky ads, these trials and subscriptions. That's basically our government's viewpoint. Small people can't offer subscriptions, but the Wall Street Journal and the Washington Post can. They're all subscriptions. The consumer doesn't know the difference between a Wall Street Journal subscription and a, hey, whiten your teeth tomorrow morning instantly and you're going to look like Brad Pitt. Like, okay, well, go after the advertisers. I didn't do anything. Anyway, my point is, I think transactions, if you're the retailer and you're paying 10%, and that is what you're paying. I got these retailers show up. Well, my transaction cost is 3%. No, dude, your transaction cost is 10% of your gross, period. Once you put in all the fees, all the chargebacks, everything, the loss of sale, the CPAs, the advertising costs that you had to pay out for something that literally comes back one day later as a fraudulent transaction. And the credit card companies are making fees on refunds. They're making fees on declined transactions. They're making fees on the chargeback. Okay? Everybody has their beak in this value chain, and they're taking from it. So I think the Web3, Bitcoin, the whole blockchain, and we're being very broad. I mean, I'll get 30 hits from this going, well, he doesn't really understand blockchain. I'm like, dude, we have a large audience here, okay? The umbrella
100%.
of this is going to target this is not like cluster bombs, okay? These are smart weapons. They're this big, they're very tiny, and they go after the richest margin. They don't target everything. And this is the mistake that people are not considering when they look at robots, when they look at AI, computer science, and blockchain. People hate CBDCs. I love them because there's going to be 108 non-public blockchain CBDCs. Everybody gets to make the decision. You want to go do business with Singapore's non-public blockchain, or do you want to deal with Bitcoin's public blockchain? Gosh, my sister's going to figure it out then, right? So I think if Bitcoin is as great as it says it is, it will eat through all of this, and it will eat through Visa, and it will eat through MasterCard. And then what they'll end up doing, they'll end up being allowed to buy anything they want in the space.
Yeah.
Anything.
No, man, it's going to be truly interesting. Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see it all play out.
There's so many game theories going on here. Dude, there's so many game theories.
Dude, it's nonstop. But Gary, I do really appreciate you coming on the pod today, man. I know your time is valuable. Love always having a conversation with you, especially in spaces. We spend a lot of time in spaces together, having some good conversations. So, of course, keep that up. I still remember going to your very first space back in July, man. It was awesome. So we've been hanging ever since. Some of your socials, I know you have a YouTube channel. You have, of course, you are on X quite a bit. Where can people find you at?
At Gary Cardone. There's a lot of imposters trying to do but it's just literally at Gary Cardone. YouTube and Twitter, and I think Instagram's the Gary Cardone. Node40.com is if you don't have your shit together, I'd get your shit together really quick because the government's coming. You're going to get audited. Okay, if you have any sizable position, you're going to get audited. This is not complicated. You can get if this is as big of a deal as I think it is, you have to treat this much more professionally. You can't believe this is going to be worth $250,000 one day and treat it like it's worth $5. It's inconsistent. So there's a reason a lot of people lost their crypto back in the day. It was priced incorrectly. That's why they lost it. Okay, they didn't value it. They didn't respect it. So I would just, man up. This is an awesome opportunity and treat it really, really professionally.
100%, man. Gary, as always, man, it's always been a pleasure. We will see you in the Twitter space world, but I really do appreciate you. Hope the listeners got something out of it. And let's do it again, man. I'll talk to you soon.
Thank you, man. Appreciate it.